technical working group that will oversee the implementation and development implementation of this program. We do have a concept document, and the technical working committee will work, use that as a working tool to make sure that the meats and bones of this project are all added so that we get started with work. We also agreed on a national joint steering committee. Everything we do now regarding the outreach youth will be done jointly by the government of Liberia and our development partners.
Okay.
So, and the part of the thing that the technical committee will be doing, one important aspect of the effort we are making is to make sure that we can mobilize funding.
Okay.
And we discussed various approaches when it comes to how we want the funding to be so secure. There's this thing called the LMTF. I believe when OMI was here, it was a kind of a system put together by the UN and the government of Liberia regarding funding.
Okay.
But it is my understanding that that is a tedious process, long process. We are also looking at the basket of funding when it comes to census, how it is being organized between the government of Liberia and the UN system that is led by the UNFPA.
Okay.
And there are other suggestions as well that the Secretariat, the Technical Working Committee, they will develop out of the framework. So we agreed on one approach on how the funding, because at the end of the day, we have to be transparent with this process.
Accountable.
We have to be accountable when it comes to this funding, and having a form of basket fund where our partners can feel comfortable and confident that yes, indeed, money that will be given through the program will be utilized properly.
Okay.
So those are things, and then the committee will also detail how funding will be used, how we assign a procedure involved, because we want this to be put together in a way that, because we're not going to be here forever.
Okay.
Whoever comes after all of us,
They continue.
we have something to work with. So these are the things we are putting in place. In fact, we agreed at our meeting there will also be an international consultant hired by the UNFPA, funded by the UNFPA, and a local consultant that will be hired by the Ministry of Youth and Sports, but funded by UNICEF. And both consultants will work together to do a mapping for probably 2 months to give us an updated information on these at-risk youth. And part of that mapping information will be used by the technical working group to fully develop the program further, and then how we do implementation.
Now, Mr. Minister, I know it's not automatic, or an emergency, but I know the government is handling it as an emergency, though not automatic. It's in what all you talked about, in seeing it's being fully visible. How so? What do we tell our people that look, all of these meetings that we are holding with the UN agencies and development partners, we should begin seeing the fruits of them in the soonest possible time.
Well, based on the meeting we held, we are hoping, consider holding all factor constant. Our young people will begin to see some activities towards the end of the year and then beginning in 2023. Because like the Minister of Finance said in that meeting, we need to make sure that we get this right. So when we get into full implementation, we are clear. Our roles are clearly defined. Our targets are defined. Our implementation strategies are defined. And we'll move forward with that. Funding streams are all defined. So that is what we are working on now. And hopefully by the end of this year, we will begin to see visible, the process of beginning to intervene. We get started, and we're making this thing open to everybody.
Okay.
We are not going to use only the government and the development partner. There are private institutions already doing intervention. We're bringing everybody on board. That is why our National Steering Committee will be broadened to include various partners, and even the CSO and the youth group themselves. So once we get started, we will be sure that we get everything in place. That's why the technical working group will really work hard to make sure that they can put the meat on the be supported by the Secretariat and the National Steering Committee.
You spoke about two experts or two individuals who supposed to be coming to the country to do some mapping. Uh, how soon do we see them? Because sometimes these sort of commitments are made, and then to see the full realization of things, it takes time.
Well, I said international consultant and a local consultant.
Okay.
So it will be one
Local
hired
and one
locally
international.
by the Ministry of Youth and Sports with funding from UNICEF, and the other will be hired international consultant
Okay.
will be hired by UNFPA with funding from UNFPA. Well, we are hoping by November, by October, give and take. Like I say, holding all factor constant, we think their work should be ready by October or sometime in November. Because the mapping is very important
Okay.
to the technical working committee or the technical working group as to how they put in place, they develop the program and the implementation. So that information is very vital.
I stand to be corrected, Mr. Minister. I know we are targeting 13.8 million, 13.9 million. So far, where are we now in terms of generating resources?
Well, you will recall that the government of Liberia committed 1 million this year to the project. The UN has also made commitment, but I'm not at this time at liberty to disclose the amount they've told me that
Why?
they commit. Well, I think it should come from them directly.
Okay.
And during the
Oh, you don't want to announce it at the end of the day? Does it come? Is that your fear?
well, no, it's not my fear.
Okay.
I trust them.
Okay, interesting. But why can't you make it public?
Well, I think it will be appropriate
Okay.
for the US
For they themselves.
to make that public.
Okay.
And from the event that they took up to today, we have a little over 46,000 in the account that we set up, thanks to Mano Mano, that gave us 25,000. I mean, a little over 26,000, should I say. Mano Mano gave us 25,000. We got 1,000 for the Nigerian embassy here. We got some money from the Cameroonian embassy, as well as Cape Coast Hotel, who made a contribution as well. We are grateful to them. And there have been other commitments made by some of our partners, like the EU. I know we are working with the EU-RASIN project, and there have been some commitment. We are working on some technical detail with respect to the work plan to make some intervention with respect to the at-risk youth at the Youth Agricultural Training Center. The World Bank is considering various portfolio to see how best they can help. And the African Development Bank also is willing to assist once we make that formal request through the Minister of Finance. And those that we wrote, we also do a follow up with them. So I think where we are in a very good place. And I think once the technical working group put together an implementation strategy, we will get started, because at least there will be some form of funding this year that can get us started. And to just add, at that meeting on the 4th, Ministry of Health, they did an excellent presentation that everyone were all thrilled by that presentation, because it clearly gave us a clear understanding of the situation we are faced with. In fact, for the Ministry of Health, they believe this situation is a national health emergency, because the ministry does not see this thing as just about drugs addiction. They think they are underlying health situation that the young people faced, and we have to address all of these things holistically, not in parts, but in whole. And that is why we are taking our time. We are doing it procedurally, and make sure that we dot our I and cross our T's. And once we get started, hopefully by the end of this year, we know we are on the right course.
Just to share with you, just this morning, I interviewed one of our correspondents, and he reported a story about a 42-year-old man who been in prison, in fact, during the administration of former President Lyndon Johnson. Since that time, he been in prison. He was released, and yesterday, what really happened? What didn't happen? He took a stake, big stake, and hit a 1-year-old child, and the child died instantly. So men of that nature, I'm sure some rehabilitation should have been done. So I'm sure it's against that backdrop that you all are really focusing on this at-risk youth program.
Yes, and if you probably look into that man's story, he maybe probably suffer from mental health. It had nothing to do with drug addiction. And that's why the Ministry of Health is saying that this issue of at-risk youth, we should not just look at it from a drug addiction point of
Surely.
view. It's been looking at the national health emergency because somebody with a mental health disorder can hit. And that is why even the folks that are in prison, we have to look at their situation to provide them some form of rehabilitation. And, because someone being in jail for long, there has to be a form of counseling, psychosocial involvement, some form of vocational and technical training, so that we help reduce the prison population in the prison, because the prison get crowded out, and that is what the Ministry of Justice. We are all involved into this.
Okay.
This is an issue that is not just Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports will not chair every committee. No. We'll make sure our other partners are involved into this. Everybody get their share and get their part of it, especially the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, and the Ministry of Justice. They have key role. I'm not downplaying other ministries, but these three ministries, they have very, very,
Very
key
critical.
critical role, because the DEA and the police, they are on the Ministry of Justice. And the DEA is on the front line when it comes to the at-risk youth, the same as the police. So these institutions.
No, so
have
they,
a major role
they,
to play.
one will come to question, or maybe to want to inquire, Mr. Minister, was the letter that we've received, why can't we begin doing something now than to wait until a huge amount comes in before we can really start something to do? Because you made a reference, I asked as to what do we have now on hand? And you said, well, about some $40,000 received.
No, 20, over 26,000.
$26,000 we do have, because we do have the rehabilitation home to rehab, to refurbish, to reconstruct. You have that home to also work on. Why can't we start something now and then to wait until we can get a huge amount?
Well, that's what I said. You don't want to do a try and error method
Okay.
approach. If you get something started, start something that you have over the farm branch, that you clearly understand what you are doing, you clearly understand the targets, you clearly understand what are the various approaches you're going to do. So we're not going to rush into it because we get some money. In fact, I can tell you we'll get more than that,
Okay.
because I know the commitment of the UN, we know the commitment of government. If you put that together, we in millions.
Though you don't want to say it publicly.
No, UN resident coordinator will tell you what will be our contribution. But we're not just going to throw money out there because we feel we have money. Let's throw money out there at a well-planned, established, coordinated program.
Okay.
That when you get started, we're not scratching our heads and, if we had known, we should have done it. No, we're not going to have that approach. That is why the meeting on the 4th is very, very important. We now agree on a joint national steering committee, joint national technical working group, a joint national secretariat. Between now and next week, we begin to put all of these groups together, and the work starts.
Now, what is it that the government wants to make clear, for which is sort of prudent, Mr. Minister, as a government, because you are representing the government on this whole steering committee. What is it that you want to make clear, or you want to display to the international community for encouraging joint working group, and that the government's own working group leading this whole process? What is it that you want to make clear and demonstrate here?
Well, first I want to make clear that we are carrying on the President's vision and mandate by working with our partners and making sure the process is transparent. That's the President's mandate. We must be transparent, we must be accountable to the Liberian people, as well as all those who will be making commitment to this. And we want to be clear to the young people that this is about them. The failure and success of this program will depend on them and not the government or our development partners. Because from the government and development partner, we are reaffirm our commitment to this. And we're going to do everything possible to make sure that all of what we need to make this program work will be there. By the end of the day, these young people whose lives we want to transform, to make them productive and serviceable citizens to this country, must be willing to embrace this program, must be willing to transform their lives. Because at the end of the day, we cannot renovate and establish a rehabilitation center without people to go there. So this is a commitment that each and every one of us have to make, including our at-risk youth, because they are the target of this. We want to transform their lives. Those who have medical issues, we want to address them. That's why I say we are taking our systematic approach to this, and we agree with the Ministry of Health. This should be also seen as a national health emergency, because you just give an example of a gentleman, 42-year-old man came from prison, used a stick to
You killed a 1-year-old girl.
maybe having
A
mental
1-year-old
problem.
child, can you imagine that?
It may be a mental health issue. We don't know it, but it may be. But only through our intake process when we get started. Because through the intake process, the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Gender, we ask all of the relevant questions to the young folks to get to understand their background, their history, what kind of sicknesses they have, and we begin to address that as well. So it's not just getting somebody and say, oh, you're not right on drugs. So that is why we are taking our time to plan properly. And once we get started, so I'm telling you, ain't no turning back.
You spoke about the success of the program will depend on the at-risk youth because they are your targets. And I can remember you held some meeting with them. It went live as well. You had television, all of that, and radio as well there. What did you hear from them, Mr. Minister? Because they are their spokesperson as well. The bulk of them were in attendance. Do you see that commitment? Do you see the willingness on their part to form part of this program?
Yeah, we see that. We see that. But the thing is, saying it as one thing and doing
another thing, surely.
So they are saying it today, and we are encouraged by that. We are hoping that once we get started, that enthusiasm will come up from them.
Okay.
So that's our hope.
Now, give us an idea concerning the center, because I know you haven't done any rehabilitation of that center yet, where you'll be taking a rescue youth. What's the condition of the place now?
Well, you know that facility has been on the Ministry of Youth and Sports since the 70s, and it was used as agricultural training center for young people. There are structures there that were damaged during the war.
During the Civil War.
During the war, and
so you haven't, you as the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Youth and Sports, you haven't done anything there yet.
Well, no, we have not done much there because it requires substantial funding, and that's why this program is very important, because part of the 13.8 million or 9 million we're talking about will be used to renovate that place. There was an NGO came from Benin, sent us some guy, they did some work, they renovated a few buildings to do some work. But it's a 1.5 acres of land. It's a huge. The structures are there. Some of them are dilapidated and need to be, renovated. The dormitories are all there, but they need to be renovated, and equipment needs to be brought there. So we have to do some work there. But in the meantime, while that is going on, we have to be carrying on some intervention. And that is why we are planning this very well, so that even some of the private institutions that are engaged into this kind of a work will be part of this, that we can take some folks there. Those who may not really need much intervention because they may not be on drugs, they may have some medical issue. We treat them, we can put them into the vocational and technical school. That is why we engage the Association of Science and Vocational Technical Education, led by Louis Topa, former librarian journalist, Louis Topa. And we work with all of these people to make sure that at the end of the day, when we get ready, those who just strictly going to vocational school, we are able to place them. Those who require more medical intervention, we are able to intervene. Those who require to go into a treatment center, we are able to intervene because there are some organizations that are doing some intervention. So we're going to have everybody involved. Because this thing we said from day one, we're going to maintain that it should not be political. It will not be political.
Okay.
It's a national issue. It requires all hands on deck.
You're listening to the Super Money Show, right here on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia. Our studio guest on the final lap of this program is Youth and Sports Minister Zeogar Wilson, but he's not here in that capacity. Rather, he's here as a chair of the steering committee set up to look into the aspect of the risk youth, giving them new future, new hope as well. And so we've been talking about you've been giving us updates on where we are since the launch of the Risk Youth program. Now, Mr. Minister, some critics or naysayers listening may think that 13.8 or 13.9 million is a lot of money. How is that going to be expended? What is it that the ministry or the committee really wants to do? What is it that the committee wants to do for which it needs all of that money?
Well, that's why our technical working group will break it down. But if you look at the concept document that we put together jointly, the government and the UN, this project had 3 phases. And the funding that has been estimated will tackle those phases of the project as well as renovation. So understand that this is a 10 years project. But we started with the first 2.5 years. And this funding we're talking about covers the first 2.5 years. Meaning we're going to renovate the center and we're going to carry on intervention.
The 13.9 is just for 2.5 years?
Yes,
okay.
Because that includes renovation and intervention. And that is why once our technical working group is constituted and they get to work and look at the concept document and break it all into phases, we intend to extend the program to the other counties because the problem with the outreach is not just in Sorbor County.
Surely.
All 15 political
they are spread around.
So there is a possibility based on what will be mapped out that some of the money will be used to intervene in other counties initially as well. But for now we are looking at Sorbor County.
For now you're looking at Sorbor County. Now you talk about renovating the center and recruiting them as well, but I'm still trying to get clarity and detail from you, Mr. Minister. 13.9. I know you said part of that will go into the renovation of the center, but I know if you're going to renovate the center, it's not about $5 million or $6 million. I'm sure.
Yes, about 6.5 million for renovation.
6.5 million.
Yeah, estimate was done by the Ministry of Public Works.
6.5 million.
Yes, we go to work.
So then, where does the balance go after the renovation?
That's why I say understand that we are having 13 different trades at that center. It was just an agricultural institution. Now we're going to put in carpentry, electricity, tailoring, breeding and weaving, hospitality services, you name them, right? All of these trade shops got to be equipped.
Okay.
Got to be built. They were not there before.
The instructors have to be there.
Exactly. You have to have people that you're going to hire because we need trained people to work there. There are a whole host of things you have to put at that center that was not there before. Understand now you are building a center. You have to have a functioning clinic at that center. Because you don't expect to take the folks from YATC to bring them to
JFK.
Exactly. So there are a lot of things that will be going on there in terms of construction, in terms of manpower, in terms of equipment. You need vehicles. You have to have security. I'm talking about 1.5 acres of land. You must have security personnel that will be trained and have to be paid for the service that they render. There have to be other professionals that you will get there. You have to buy vehicles. You have to fund the offices. There have to be feeding of these people that will be there.
On a daily basis.
Absolutely. So you're looking at 13.8 million for 2.5 years, given the volume of things we have to do. I think we need more resources than that because, like I said, it's just the initial intervention must run.
Refresh our memories again. How do you recruit them? How many persons per month or per maybe 6 months? How many persons?
Well, that's why the technical working group put together
Okay.
to let us know how many persons.
You're going to accommodate them.
Yes, from the document that we put together, we're looking at 1,500, but that number is small because we still don't read.
Okay.
No,
1,500.
500.
Okay.
But if you want to use the seed approach, because we run the program with the UN system called SEED.
Okay.
The Social Economic Empowerment Disadvantaged Youth are very successful. We recruit a little over 500 young folks. We carry them through the process of rehabilitation, psychosocial counseling, detoxification, family reintegration. We provide with sign up with masters, train them, provide them vocational technical skills. They graduated, many of them got jobs, some of them were in inferior communities trying to do some handiwork or fend for themselves. We thought that program was successful. So while we try to renovate that center, we think we need to use the seed approach. And so that this time at a larger scale. At the time of seed approach, we had 3 drop-in centers. Probably this time the technical working group will say, look, we need maybe 7, 8 drop-in centers for the folks to come. And like I said, the folks that will come for the initial intake, all of them may not be on drugs. There may be different reasons why they are, and that's why the mapping that the both consultant will do will give us additional up-to-date information. And all of these things we will tackle because we don't have the folks come for intake. And we know, for instance, somebody has some communicable disease and we just let you go over like that. No.
Okay.
It has to be treated. And all of the things cost money.
What's your strategy of intake? Forcibly, or are you going to do it?
No, we can't force anybody. And the thing is, like I said, the success and failure of this program
will depend on them.
So it will be voluntary. They have to come, they have to register, and that's why we will be creating more awareness because we don't want them to feel that we are calling them for the DEA and police to arrest them.
Yeah, surely.
So we have to create more awareness before we even start the intake process.
Okay.
And putting these commercials on the radio, on the TV, and even having talk show people. All these things cost money, you know that. So those are where we'll be spending money, to make sure that when the folks come, it is clear and understood that they're not coming to get arrested.
Now, your focus, Mr. Minister, when I talk about your focus, well, let me just talk about the joint focus, the government of Liberia and development partners and the UN agencies as well. Your focus is basically to give those young people a new hope, a new life. If you are not getting their cooperation, you set up the home, you set up the center. I try to be a bit, not optimistic yet. You set up a home, you set up the center, where it's looking sparkling. You got all the vehicles and you got a clinic in place, and you got the manpower. Yet you are not getting the cooperation. What could be your next strategy?
Well, from our own estimate, with the project document, we looking at 20% of the population that will not be cooperative.
You're looking at 20%.
So looking at 80% will be cooperative. So that's the
So how did you base that? How did you carve that statistics?
Well, based on lesson.
What's the reliance?
Based on lesson line, we ran a seed program, like I said, and there were many that came through the seed program, and they drive along the way. They showed no interest, and there are others that continue with us. So based on lesson learned, other intervention people have, because the seed program was the multi organization approach. It was not just government, it was the government, the UN, and other development partners, and everyone had been doing some form of intervention one way or the other, and they determined that we will not get 100% out of them to cooperate. So we already make that calculation that we may have maybe 20%.
Well, 20% is a very huge number.
Yeah, it is a huge number.
So there's no other strategy to get those 20%?
Well, the thing is that it's possible that we less than 20%, but just always go in planning, make allowance for those who are not cooperating.
So when you did the seed program, on which platform you're trying to also see what it can infuse into this sort of intervention, when you did the seed program, Mr. Minister, and 20% drop along the way, were you concerned about knowing why did they drop? And how that lesson learned can be also applied, so that you don't fail in the next your next approach.
Well, there were a couple of reasons. Some of them were not ready.
Okay.
And when we started the program, we were dealing with those that were living in the ghettos. They would come to the drop-in centers, on a daily basis, but then they go back to the ghetto, and the peer pressure, all of that had an effect. So as a result of that, we had to re-strategize to say, look, let's look at those who have gone through some form of rehabilitation, either through a church or an organization, but they're looking for opportunities. And when we employed that approach, there were our success came, because it was difficult to get the guys who were ready on drugs that we tried to help come on a daily basis and go back to where they were coming from, and we expected it to change. Some of them had other challenges, but at the end of the day, we are hoping that our estimate on the percentage will be low, because we've seen their own desire to want change. Since this time is a different approach where the whole government, the development partner are involved, maybe that will give them more encouragement to come to change their lives and see how best they can be better and productive citizens.
The men and women we are talking about here, Mr. Minister, they are not people who listen to radio often. They are not people who read the newspapers. How are you intending, let's assume you have about 2 months or 3 months to kick off the program after you've already prepared the centers? How are you intending to get them convinced so that they come on the program, they enroll on the program?
So, just so you know, every ghetto in Liberia where the folk live,
You visit there?
they have, not just visited, but they have leadership structure.
Okay.
So we intend to reach them through the leadership structure. They have a clearly defined leadership structure.
You got a secretary, you got a president, you got a vice
They
president.
got different, this commander, that they got a whole structure set up in the ghetto. So we intend to work through the leadership.
Okay.
And the leadership, they listen to that leadership, and we get the message across to that through that leadership. That's why we work with them, because if you want to succeed working on a program for somebody, that person must be the part of it. And we tend to make these leaders part of the program so they clearly understand, because these are the people they listen to in the ghetto.
Okay.
And once the people encourage them and spread the word to them that this thing is good for you, we believe that we have a success rate.
But are you also looking out, Mr. Minister, to using loudspeakers, maybe 3-4 months to kicking off the entire program, moving around Central Monrovia and everywhere they got them, converge so that you get the message to them using loudspeakers?
Absolutely. We also use other organizations like Crusader for Peace. That will go to the we use the community leadership as well. This will be a massive mobilization campaign, massive publicity for people to know. That's why I say we are planning this systematically.
Okay.
To make sure once we get started, we're no turning back.
Now, before we open the lines, Mr. Minister, I know the government has a clear intention to concerning its citizens. I know we often talk about that here regarding the sensitivity of the president to look into what concerns his citizens. Now, against what backdrop, Mr. Minister, you are the chair for this whole risk youth program, chair of the steering committee. If you were to just give us a clear understanding as to why is the government putting that, being so keen, or putting lots of resources, or putting the energy into wanting to transform these young people. Because if you follow maybe in other countries where they fought war, where they got people of that nature, not much has been done. But why the government of President Weah is looking out to do that?
The president is concerned about the peace and security of this country. And these young people in this category, you know their story. You know what most of them do. And if we don't tackle this as a government and people, this is going to be the next security risk, national security risk on our hand. And that is why the president is laser focused on making sure we can transform the lives of these people. Because we need investors in our country. And nobody wants to invest in an environment that is unsafe, that is not livable.
Sure.
And we have to address this because it's going to be the next crisis on our hand if we fail to do it. And we don't want to be a failure. Understand that young people brought this president to power, and they applied their developmental ability, their ability to be productive citizens, the empowerment, all of these things are key to the president, and he wants to see the transformation in these young people.
0776 540 987, or better still, 0880 514 096. Good morning, the first caller. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Good morning to the minister.
Let's hear from you, sir.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Shekmani of Matari. If the minister can remember, there was a program here for the Zogos.
At risk youth.
At risk youth. I'm a cat man. I'm up and down Broad Street, Red Line, Matari, everything. While the program was on, I know a lot of at risk youth on Broad Street. In local, so I asked them another question. Why are you guys not at the SKD complex? They are launching a program for you. And this was the ordinary answer the whole day. The this government have disappointed them. They thought this was a government. But the government lied to them. So they're not going nowhere. So my question to the minister is, what kind of responses, what kind of strategy what kind of mechanism you got to put in place to convince people like that who are disappointed in this government at this point?
Okay, many thanks. Let's take this call on the line quickly. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother Sorbor.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Minister Zeogar Wilson. President George Weah is magnanimous with his action. I think, despite me being a journalist, let us see what I want to say. My heart is with the president on this and his team, especially Minister Zeogar. Look, as national president of the National Association of Science and TV Institution in Liberia, we've been engaging with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And Minister Zeogar, when this thing came about, he called us to a meeting. And the meeting was a very fruitful meeting. Mr. Minister, like I told you over the time immemorial, amen, into camp, we are with you 1,000,000%. We are coming to engage with you and the National Steering Committee. We are putting a project, a pilot together to work with the ministry to jump. Yeah, you said at the end of the year, I know, but there's small activities, and some of us have expertise. We want to launch a major pilot sensitization and awareness, engaging with some of the communities, with the at-risk youth in sporting activities, training the teachers, and other activities we want to. So I will not get the whole cat out of the bag. I briefed you the last time, and we're coming. We are with you, and we support our association. We even stay in the middle. We give the government some assistance. I mean to say we are not strong though, but if they bring some of the students to some of the challenge I raise you to our institutions, we give them discount.
Okay.
We give them discount. Yes.
Okay. Many thanks.
Yes.
Many
I
thanks.
want to thank you. Even our health science tools will provide social training when they are ready for these things. So, Mr. Minister, thank you. Thank you.
Many thanks. Let's take this call on the line quickly. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Sorbor, and good morning,
hear somebody that Johnny from district number 6 in Monserrato here this morning.
Let's go ahead. Hello? Oh, he's off the line. 0776-540-987. Or better still, 0880-514-096. That's the number to call, and you are live on the SMS. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sorbor. How are you?
I'm okay, sir.
Mr. Minister, welcome. Thank you very much. Mr. Minister, somebody say people are not happy about the government laugh at them. We laugh at you, they say, when we don't learn, we continue making stuff with the farm.
Hello? Hello? Yeah, please change your location. Your line is coming in broken, please.
Mr. Sorbor, you getting me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying, somebody call and say, oh, the government lied to, or I said, now the government lied to you, but they say you should go and learn. So I'm asking my brother there, those are all, even those are all that not get jobs, Mr. Minister, you should improve on. Those are all that uneducated, we get the women there, they not get men, the men, they not get women, they get the children, and the children they tell me to Zoko. Mr. Minister, I want you to please look into that direction to add on in. Those are all that marry, get the children with money, man, please add on in to learn something. Those are all that get the children, we not get women, we not get men, the children are vulnerable on their people. Mr. Please add on in. For all the government life, or the government is doing something. So, Mr. Minister, we beg you. Now, affected youth. We that born in the children, they are getting affected every day.
Okay.
So please add all the parents that get children, they not get jobs, they are not educated, the people at the children is not mentally
Okay.
1 minute, please, Mr. Minister. Please give information to our president that the day he go America, he please talk about the former EFL benefit that day. Please, Mr. Minister, that should be part of the message.
Okay, many thanks. 0776-540-987. Good morning. Good morning. Hello? Oh, the Simpsons caller is off the line. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. That's the number to call, and you are live on the SMS this morning. Again, 0880-514-096, or better still, 0776-540-987. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Mr. Charles Gilcover Jr. And thanks to the minister in studio. I've been working with the risked youth adults from the United States of America. I'm a counselor of substance abuse. I have tried working with people around, but it seems to be difficult. I appreciate the minister and the ministry. I appreciate all those who trying to put this program together. Who volunteer my time. I think his immediate deputy knows me well. We work together with Project Hospitality, and that's what I was doing. So I look forward to working with them.
Okay.
If I'm called upon.
Many thanks. We really appreciate offering your time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Sorbor George.
Yes, sir.
My name is Bonganu Zebre, and I join you from Chukoturo.
Okay.
Let me say good morning to the minister in studio. I'd like to share this story. I was 13 and I got involved with substance abuse. And I struggled with substance abuse for almost 10 years. And before quitting, it was a struggle. It took me almost 5 years to quit when I realized that I had to quit. So, and let me say, how did I get involved with substance abuse? It was during the DDR program when those ex-fighters were allowed to go to school to restart their education, and we too were in school, and we got mixed with these guys, and we were friends, and we introduced them to our own lifestyle. They introduced us to their own lifestyle, which involved drugs and alcohol and other things. So my concern has always been, okay, in my process of quitting, I went to several rehabs, church rehabs, social rehabs, and by the grace of God, I was able to come out. At least I'm celebrating almost 10 years now of sobriety. So I was thinking about the root cause. What caused this epidemic in our country? I think it's due to the fact that we went through civil crisis, that people use jobs to do what they couldn't do when they were normal. So helping.
Okay.
It's our dream that when the project starts, we that had some first-hand experience with this particular thing, we can be a part of it to help. Thank
Okay.
you.
Many thanks. Many thanks. Let's get this call on the line. Many thanks. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Speak to you.
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, Honorable Minister.
Yeah, good morning.
My attention has been drawn to the July 26th riot that took place at the American House. We listened to the president make his point on the basis that those that were involved should be brought to justice.
But we are not discussing that now. It has nothing absolutely to do to the discussion, with the discussion, please. Thank you. Good morning. Let's take this other corner of the line. Good morning. Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
This is Chris Shady calling from the United States of America.
Okay, let's hear from you.
Thank you. I just have a few questions for the minister. The first one has to do with this advantage youth we are discussing. It is only in Montserrat. What happened to the people in Tapeta? What happened to the people in Sanikori? What happened to the people in Grand Battle? So I wish to understand from the minister. It is only targeting only in Montserrat.
Okay. The minister will respond to that. We'll take only one more call and we'll wrap it up quickly. Let's see what we can get this call quickly. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Professor.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning to the minister. My name is Evan Badi, and I join you from the Bakuba Avenue from Bedford, your headquarters. Let me appreciate you about your analysis this morning. The minister, thank you very much. You know, our people saying, when something is delayed, you know, people have no interest. Yep, the program that you are talking about, the facility, since then the facilities have been born, we are not in no structure that are going on. And we've been talking about the money.
He's off the line. Let's go back to the minister quickly to respond to some of the concerns and we'll wrap it up with the minister.
Well, thank you so much. I thought the guy from the United States, probably he joined late. I did say that the issue of outreach youth are in all 15 counties. And we will reach out to all of the counties, but beginning with Montserrat County. So it's not just an intervention in Montserrat County because these outraged youth are all over the country. The other caller said that the folks on Broad Street said they are disappointed in the government, and so they were not coming to the program. Well, I may not fully understand their own disappointment, but I think, when I told you about the success and failure of the program depends on the young people.
Surely.
It's just an example. If we have that mentality that, maybe the government did not intervene initially when it took over, and so the government tried to do something and I'm not interested, then we have a problem.
It's better late than never.
Exactly. And so what we are doing now is, and we are not doing it as a government alone, we are doing it about development partners who are using taxpayer money from the various countries to help us. So I want to encourage them. No matter how you feel about the government, this is about your future. You want to keep loading car for the rest of your lives? Ask yourself the question. Is that the life you want to live? Is that the life you want to see your children see you doing? Just loading car all day long? Well, the choice is yours. And by encouraging you that if the program gets started, come and get transformed. And there's a better future for you than what we are doing
Just
currently.
saying away.
Yes, absolutely.
Many thanks, Mr. Minister. Thank you very much for taking time off a busy schedule, sir.
You're most welcome. So.
We'll continue as time progresses. We'll continue to invite you for updates on the at-risk youth.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's just how we go home on this presentation of the Super Money Show. Thanks to Anthony Williams. He's been on camera, and my producer, indefatigable, illustrious and hard-working producer, the man Melvin Stewart. Sorbor George is my name. There's no second chance for fresh impression. Whatever the government is trying to do, as citizens, let's join ranks and